What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, and it's a Thursday, so Twid is back this week. Of course, we didn't get one last week. And so Bungie are playing a little bit of catch up today with regards to Solstice, announcements about rewards associated with that, as well as some of the patch changes from this week. So we will talk about those items, but also they give some updates regarding other things. That includes bugs in the game this week. Some of them are going to get fixes shortly. Unfortunately, the exotic class item drop rate buff actually hasn't worked out the way that Bungie intended. There's a bug with that, but another future update, which may actually give us the opportunity to go after specific perk rolls on them, which could be cool. But also Bungie talk about the fact that they're giving us bonus free bright dust on a weekly basis. And that's actually in relation to a bug with Pathfinder. So there are some future facing updates today. We'll speak about it all in the video. If you enjoy it, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise, let's get into it. And initially, let's start out with the quick minor updates from Bungie, I suppose. And Bungie Help said, we've identified an issue where cold snap grenades are not returning the correct amount of energy when they're being used with the Otomomancy gloves, and we're investigating a fix. So for any folks who've been wondering what's going on with those, it is actually bugged. Hopefully that fix will be dropping reasonably soon. Of course, we get patches on nearly a weekly basis, so we might get a fix shortly. We'll have to wait and see. Otherwise though, bugs they've confirmed this week, an issue where Graviton Lance is firing at a slower rate of fire than intended. Again, that will be addressed in a future update, so it wasn't an intentional change with the patch. And of course, there's also one where sniper rifle ammo reserves are lower than intended. Once again, that will be fixed in another update. So those are the minor fast bits, but of course, this week, Bungie offered a buff to the drop rate of exotic class items, and the sort of change in how they actually operate, with overthrow being a more important element of actually obtaining them. But they do say they've identified an issue impacting exotic class item drop rates. And at this time, tier 4 overthrow chests are not contributing to increased drop chances, nor can exotic class items be awarded through them. And so essentially the buff or the fix, the change this week actually hasn't worked whatsoever, and there's something preventing it from operating the way that it should. So Bungie are currently developing a fix, aiming for a near-term hotfix. Of course, it's something that we wouldn't want to be left untouched for a long time, because if you're already farming class items, it's actually worse now than it was a few days back. But Bungie also add that they're looking to give players a way to chase specific perks in a future update, and there will be more details as plans solidify. DMG also indicated that this isn't something that's going to happen imminently, but in the long term, obviously, if there are very specific roles that players want on the class items, of course, there's quite a big perk pool there. So to improve that RNG component, a way to chase specific perk roles will of course be pretty useful. It'll be a fairly significant change, but hopefully it won't take a really long time to introduce. Nonetheless though, the bug component should be fixed soon, and let us know your thoughts on a system to chase specific roles down in the comments section. The final update right here before we get into the bulk of the Twid though, and this week we did get some free bright dust in the Eververse store. It actually is going to be a thing that's happening on a weekly basis for the foreseeable future, but DMG shared on Reddit, players aren't earning as much bright dust as we expected under the new Pathfinder system with Final Shape, and we wanted to get ahead of this and issue a make good to get folks caught up, as there were no intentions of reducing XP or bright dust earn rates. The comms for this were actually planned last week, but the delay pushed us out, and additionally we're working on some new Pathfinder feedback to help earn rates in the future, but we don't have exact details on execution yet. And so Pathfinder's been somewhat divisive. Although after a couple of months, I should say, a lot of the feedback around Pathfinder is that it's a somewhat flawed system, of course, and on top of the objective component, obviously, if rewards like XP or bright dust aren't dropping as intended, that only worsens the situation, so it's good that we are at least getting an update on it. Moving on to the Twid though, and Bungie expand a little bit on the conversation around Pathfinder, and they say, looking into the near future, discoverability and general progression are among the top priorities for Pathfinder. We want players to be able to find Pathfinder more easily. The node is a bit small, and we want objectives to better align with the activities that they're set for, like getting 10 grenade kills in PvP without dying, and how that is arguably a bit too much of a challenge, at least for a Pathfinder objective. So they finally say they'll have more news to share on Pathfinder changes in the coming weeks. Otherwise though, between August 6th and all the way up until October 8th, when the maintenance drops for episode 2, players will be able to claim 350 bright dust each week. So be sure to keep that in mind. Also in the Twid though, they actually go over quite a few of the changes that we had in the patch this week. So there are some additional dev insights into particular weapon changes, exotic adjustments, and so on. You can check those out in the full Twid if you want to, but they also give insight about some upcoming changes that they have planned for the next episode. So for exotic armor initially, they say there are plenty of things coming down the pipeline soon from the armor team, and to get ready to dust off some items for the next episode, firstly, they're planning some updates to underperforming upcoming perks on exotic class items, especially for Titans. And so on top of the class item adjustment or the drop rate adjustment that they tried to implement in the game this week, the actual sandbox component, the perks and the bonuses and how they're performing is also going to go under the magnifying glass, especially for the next episode. So that's something to look forward to. Let us know any combinations that you'd love to see Bungie make adjustments to in the comment section. Otherwise though, they also say there'll be buffs and reworks for underused exotic armor pieces, and those include Blight Ranger, Mask of the Quiet One, Skull of Ahamkara, and more. But additionally, there'll be plenty of other small tweaks to exotic armor, aiming to provide meaningful utility boosts. So that at least puts the exotic armor part on the radar for the upcoming episode. And of course, we have mention of that episode date, referencing October 8th. So that's when we can expect to get into episode 2 by the sounds of it. Again in the TWID, more kind of feedback about the weapon changes from this week, but also they teased some updates coming for episode Revenant. So firstly, they're looking to buff underperforming subfamilies of weapons like adaptive SMGs and rapid-fire heavy grenade launchers. Those will be good to see, but also they plan to greatly increase shotgun range in PvE, which could actually be pretty interesting. And there'll be buffs to numerous underutilized exotic weapons, so Huckleberry, which actually could be quite a juicy one. In a lot of ways that's a decent weapon already, but of course there's more that it could do. The same for Chaperone, Bad Juju, Exdiris, and the Prospector. So we've got some confirmed buffs right there, starting in October. But on top of that, they refer to the perks, like Iron Banner specific perks, as well as Slideways, Alloy Mag, and Master of Arms, interestingly. So we could have a little Recluse buff, potentially right there. They also spoke about adding some of those bonuses to more weapons in the future, so we might start seeing that in October as well by the sounds of it. And additionally, there'll be a significant weapon mod rework with the addition of 10 new mods. So at least on the sandbox side of things, some good changes potentially coming up in October, and give us your thoughts about them down below. Otherwise though, in the TWAB, they talk about Solstice, as well as the patch this week, and for a quick rundown, they talk about the changes this year, including the Solstice Forge, and to kick off festivities, head over to Eva Levante to grab the new Solstice Forge item. The Forge will be the new hub for earning armor this year, and here we'll find bounties next to each Solstice armor piece that we can complete to unlock that piece of armor. On top of that, of course, we're still earning silver leaves, so while carrying the Forge, completing activities will reward silver leaves that can be used to purchase the Forge bounties, and we can earn them through a variety of activities. So if we want to keep grinding Nightfalls or ranking up in the Crucible, we have the option to play the way we want, while still raking in the leaves, and we'll also be able to use silver leaves to re-roll bounty sets, offering even more flexibility in playing how we want. Then there are armor bounties and alloys, and as we complete Forge bounties, we'll be rewarded with alloys, and these are used to unlock new armor and glows. And once we've reached enough alloys for a piece of armor, we'll be offered a quest to take on the Bonfire Bash, with the armor piece rewarded upon completion. And after we've unlocked that armor, of course we can follow the same process to earn the glows. So those are the Solstice systems. Of course, we've seen many of them, given that the event started a couple of days ago, but if you haven't jumped in yet, it is at least a basic rundown, and here is the Solstice armor. Been a lot of feedback about it this year. I actually think it looks relatively cool right there. I'm not saying it's better than previous years, but that shader combo with the glow is at least alright. And of course there is the new Solstice weapon, the Fortunate Star. So that's the first Solstice bow. There's also an image right here of the memento for Solstice on the weapons, with this sort of floral skin, if you're feeling kind of flowery. So that's the rundown on all of the Solstice stuff. Otherwise in the TWAB, TWID, there are known issues. So they say players who've already completed unique missions in the Echo story will not be able to launch them again while playing with others who are going through them for the first time. Also, the Grey Cloud seasonal challenge incorrectly states that players need to use a stasis subclass, but instead players must defeat targets with Arc, Solar, or Void subclasses equipped in Gambit. On top of that, Ergo Sum's Wolfpack rounds aren't applying to aggressive frame swords, and the craftable versions of the class swords are unable to equip mementos. There are a few others that you can see right there as well, which are somewhat more minor, but as always we are pretty much getting weekly patches at this point, so the hope is that a lot of these minor things will be fixed fairly soon. For today though guys, that's what we have to speak about, so there we go, we twid it, just about, even though I keep calling it TWAB. If you found the video useful, a rating below very much helps us out. Give us your thoughts on potential upcoming buffs that we've heard about. And if you want to see more Destiny news, get subscribed and I will keep you posted. But otherwise, cheers for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.